Hey, Adam,
Hey, how's it going?
let's see what happens. Okay. And then, and then, all right. So in theory, we're live on the LinkedIn Live. Maybe. I don't know. Probably going to get some echo if it works. No. Event will start soon. But I did hit the thing. LinkedIn Live. And stop live stream. No. But it should have started. Sorry, guys. First time setting up the live stream, and I forgot to do it. Supposed to do this in advance, Dave. Um, okay, it says it's live, and LinkedIn says it's not, so I don't. Um, Steven, I don't think we've met yet, right?
Sorry, I was in a meeting. Yeah, how's it going, David? Nice to meet you.
Good. Adam and Sam, I know already, so at least I don't worry about
Yeah,
much like an idiot in front of them,
I know. Don't worry. We all look like idiots when trying to use Zoom or whatever. Yeah.
right? And then trying to get Zoom and LinkedIn to work together.
Oh God. And I'm on Linux, so like, good luck. Like, I'll switch from Teams to Meet to Zoom to Discord all in one day. It's a miracle. It works.
I hear you.
You
So,
mean Teams actually works?
yeah, in the browser.
I've yet
Use
to
the
find
browser
that.
version.
Yeah.
I had to use the browser. I'm on the browser version of Zoom. I forgot I switched. Like, I
I know.
switched my
Every
setup.
time somebody invites me to a Teams meeting, I'm always like, ugh.
Yeah. I want to say no, we don't do that, but I don't have that. I don't have that privilege to just be like, no, we don't do Teams. Oh.
No. Yeah, I just charge them for the privilege of using it.
You're like, here, I answer your Teams link with this link to PayPal. Basically, uh, funny.
There's definitely a Teams and non-Teams rate, though.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. I I I don't know. Mostly, I just say no when I find out clients are using Teams.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're using Teams for video, I don't care too much, because I just force them to use mine.
Yeah.
But if they're using Teams for like their Slack, you know,
Is that like a no for you? Like that's how
that is
you
a no
lead?
for
That
me.
like that's how you qualify your lead? That's
Yep.
like
Well,
that's how I was
Yep.
kind of like, I'll
I
still.
mean, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get an offering that does not include me being there in their Slack and available to them in Slack, right? If they want to communicate with me, then they can use, here's the Slack you can log into, you can use that. So for one-on-one, whatever, but I am not going to join your teams ever.
Yeah.
the biggest thing I find is just like companies that use that tend to be very bureaucratic and large and just like lumbering and just like, yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna save money on lawyers for
Yep.
sure.
So in theory, we are live on LinkedIn with the LinkedIn live stream.
Oh, well, maybe I
I'm
shouldn't say that.
page up, so if anyone happens to comment that they're watching, then I'll see it. But I don't know. It's an experiment. It's mostly the excuse to try it, not that I expect anything out of it. Format here is completely informal. This is just us talking about whatever anybody wants to talk about. And this is, I think the biggest we've had was 6 people, and was that last weekend or was that last week? I think. But this is number 4, so I mean, this isn't this isn't well publicized. And so welcome aboard. I want to introduce yourselves. I'm David Raistrick. I'm a fractional something or the other, and pivoting to coach for fractionals, helping fractionals on the building the sustainable business part of this, right, and scaling the business without going and accidentally becoming an agency. And that's kind of the part I focus on. But that trends into all parts, as we know. So, Adam, you want to tell us
Sure.
what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm Adam. I'm located in Toronto, Canada. I started a fractional journey in 2022, and I did that for a while, and then I wound up joining one of my clients full time. My old boss, an old boss from an old startup, was there, so I felt comfortable joining. That didn't turn out the way that we thought it would, and now I'm back on the market. So, to be honest, I'm at the point where it's whatever comes first at this point. So need to pay the bills, and whether that's full time or fractional, that's it's got to land. So, how about Sam?
Yeah, and I've been consultant / running my own business for over a decade now. Mostly, at least in the beginning, just developer for hire. Trying to move up the value chain a little bit. So, trying to sell myself as a fractional CTO for whatever that means. So,
Nice.
I've been solo since 2016. So is that 9 years? 9 years last month. Yeah.
yeah, it started in like 2015. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about you, Steven?
Yeah, so I'm Steven Lauck. My background, I'm an engineer, not necessarily a sysadmin, but worked at some, worked in the industry, was early in the internet days, and then kind of came back. So I worked in the .com stuff, but then also more like 2009 came back because I went back to school and did like a CS degree later in life kind of thing. And then ended up working at places like Chef and HashiCorp. And then went back to Chef, I was CTO there. Well, we were splitting some duties after Adam took off, but basically did field CTO stuff for Chef until about 2020 when they got bought by Progress and decided to basically be pretty hardcore and work on tools that we were theorizing about and approaches we were theorizing about, and just kind of going out to people and saying, hey, needing help with anything, which I guess you'd call bootstrapping or whatever. But fractional wasn't necessarily the word we were using, but we're about 5 years in now since 2020. And yeah, doing fractional, a lot of fractional DevOps works is how we started. A lot of that turns into CTO work too, because you can almost, and we have a spattering of customers. It's been pretty tough since like the ZERP ending, since 2023. It's been, we've had the cockroach basically just keep the lights on, barely paying mortgage, kind of stuff like that. But, we kind of have a product / consulting thing going on, and it's going well. We're not dead. I think that's really, if you make it, it's amazing if you make it 10 years. I think it's just one of those things, you don't decide that, you just end up there, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, good to see you're still moving, and it's nice to see some. When I say old people, I mean people from the old Chef days.
Yeah. Employee 100 here. Yeah.
Chef, was such a spin out from other things. Because I when Luke quit his job to start Puppet, right? That was spinning out of IRC channel, the old Sage members IRC, and I remember that day. I remember him posting the message saying, "Well, I quit my job and I'm going to start working on this thing called Puppet." And it was like, okay, what is this? And then I'm like, okay, as soon as you get a release out, I'm going to have my team start replacing all of our shell scripts with Puppet. Let's see what happens, because we'd never experimented in the CF engine side of things, so we just had the usual piles of shell scripts, some decent, but that was where we did all of our automation around our system, infrastructure. So yeah. And then my last vestige of Chef was Chef Metal. So
Yeah.
After it was shut down, we ran our own fork. I ran our own fork of Chef Metal until I got out of that project in 2018. So
wow. Yeah. I mean, what's old is new again. I mean, basically our whole company is just what you described again. And it's insane. Like I think I kind of like yelled at some people. I was like, you're just like the VMware admins. I was like, check this out, and showed them Terraform. And they're like, never. Now I'm like, hey, check this out. Don't use Terraform. They're like, never. Right? Like, it's the same human basically every time. These cycles happen, but so much has changed, but yet that's still, the fact that there's fractional DevOps shows it's not solved.
No, it's
tools,
not solved.
If anything, I think the 2015 era of the sort of well-funded, chefy, puppety things, or even because you could talk to Burgess like about how that went with CF Engine and funding into sort of that ZERP period, like later with containers and cloud and all that, where it's just like so much money and all these things like Earthly and even Dagger and stuff like this. Now we're into, I think, another era where it's interesting. I don't know, with fractional and different.
So we had someone else join. I'm going to get your name wrong. Meenakshi.
Yeah, that's correct. You
Oh,
pronounce
awesome.
my name
You want to give us a
absolutely.
quick introduction, if you'd like?
Sorry, my daughter is coughing in the background. Yeah,
Give us kind of what you do. Where?
yeah, sure.
Um,
Hi, everyone. You can call me Meena because Meenakshi is difficult to pronounce. I am joining here from UK, Manchester. Currently, I am building a product called TutorGetter as a fractional product and technology person. Prior to this, I was with Paydoc, which is a fintech payment orchestration platform, again, headquartered in London, UK. I've always been into building fintech payments products. Started the journey in 2008 as a product person, gradually moved on to taking up technology leadership roles. Been with MasterCard as well as principal consultant. But very recently, I'm trying to build something in edutech with TutorGetter. But yeah, this is me in short.
awesome.
Welcome.
Fractional product, I think, is an interesting space. We've in the fractional CTO coffee. We've had a couple of fractional product people over the years, and it's all the same problems. It seems like it's just it's arguably another hat of the CTO.
That's right. Product cannot go on its own unless you have a good engineering background or an engineering handhold to go with.
Right.
And generally, this combination of having a technical person do product is rare, and I have not seen many companies be successful without having a technical person manage the product. So having the commercial aspect of the product is great, but someone who could do both technical and commercial aspects of product is a rare blend to find, and I really enjoy that space.
Yeah, there's a group, Women in Product, I think, run. I don't know who's running it these days, but I worked with one of the ladies that founded it back in 2019.
Wow.
And it's funny, she kind of pulled me aside one day. I was like, "Are you sure you don't want to pursue a career in product?" I'm like, no. I mean, but I appreciate and understand the product side of it, right? I mean, it's just, to me, it's just as important to understand why we're building it as to understand how we built it. And that all kind of collides. It's all one role. I mean, it's one shared set of responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree. Yeah.
I tried to go for full-time roles in product because that's what I was doing at my last company. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. People are going to really love the fact that I have engineering background and product background. And then the feedback, I had 3 product management interviews and they were all, one was, oh, I need somebody with 10 years in the trenches of product management. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then the software, if I do get a software interview or contact, it's like, oh, well, you just spent the last 3 or 4 years in product. So, why do you, it's like, no, like I have both. Like, isn't that great for you?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder how much of product has devolved into absorbing the project management role.
Yeah, that a lot of it, I think, is what I observed in my early career. I was like an SDET. And when the whole shift left movement came along, a lot of those people those roles went away. Like QA roles, I guess, with the traditional QA, the idea that you have of this manual testing. And I think similar things happening on the product side where products becoming like a scrum master, like backlog manager, and not actually this kind of a product manager. I don't know. I'm on this boat. I got on this boat and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like that's how I want to behave and how I do behave. So yeah, a lot of what I saw is people are really good at running the sprint rituals and not so great at describing why the user needs the feature.
There's sort of spicy take, some of us, especially coming from places like Chef and Hashi, where it's like the VC funded kind of product play.
Yeah.
You're serving the investors and the feature velocity, and you got to stay ahead. But coming from the sort of customer side, we've had some serious conversations, and we've tried this at a couple places too recently, and it with pretty good success, where effectively the customer success org is actually more the product org. They're talking to the customers, they're getting the feedback. And if you're, and I even said, like, we're never going to probably have a head of product engineers. Kind of, you need that sort of benevolent engineering dictator that says, how to scope the work and stuff or manage the product or the project. But if you're talking about product, it's basically the customer success org. They should be head of product in some ways. That's a pretty spicy take, but why not? I remember when we didn't have customer success and all of a sudden that was my title from customer engineer, but you end up making the product in the field sometimes. And that's what dictates it. So I think it's interesting. There's a lot of change.
Mm-hmm. There's a piece of software out there. I applied and I don't know if it's Monday.com or if it's another one, but basically that's the one. They hire people who they call product success or something like that, and it's like their customer. What's that?
Is it AHA? You're talking about AHA?
Yeah, that's AHA. Yeah, that's right. AHA. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, I found that model to be really interesting.
Yeah, good that you mentioned, it depends on the company size generally. So when I joined this startup called Paydoc about 5 years back in 2020, I was the first employee in the UK, and they had literally 6 developers in Ukraine working for the product. But then when you join a startup of that small scale, you know that you can wear multiple hats. Yeah. And then when in 2022, when they raised funds, they got Series A, I had to choose. What do you want to do? Do you want to do product? Do you want to do engineering? Do you want to do delivery? Or you want to do architecture? But before that, for last 3 years to 4 years, I was responsible for all those 4 departments.
Yeah.
It was really tough to come out of the weeds, to not review an architecture diagram for a feature, or to not get into the engineering madness of deciding, are we going to use ActiveMQ or RabbitMQ, or what decisions are we making? How do we develop it? How many sprints? So it's been fun here in the product and engineering space to see how things have evolved. And very recently, with these AI agents picking up, I don't think we would business analysts or product managers even managing the backlog.
Yeah.
Writing user stories have become so easy with these agents that you don't even need to use the brain.
I've jumped into that world like with both feet right now. I'm over the last 2 weeks, I've been blowing my own mind. I'm like, this is possible? Like, really? This is not that I want us to go off on an AI sidetrack, but it's
few really times have I ever seen a user story in my entire career.
Yeah.
I mean,
it feels like the place to go die, right? That's where like the feature dies is usually how. I mean, it depends. I respect the process, right? Tracking's super important, but user stories or sizing or commits, like,
yeah,
it's kind of like
just from the agentic flow, like even just taking an idea and getting it into a PRD for discussion. It's easy now. Like we've shifted so far left that everything's about the business idea and the viability of it, and the other stuff is just kind of extra. Like first we shifted left and got rid of testing, and now I think we're shifting left. Oh my goodness, what's going to be left?
Lots of opportunity for people to come in and rescue it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to come in and clean this up now.
I think that's sort of the answer, right? Like, it's not that we got rid of the tests, we just shifted it left. But I think, I would say that would be what I tell people now. If there's not a test for it, sort of that consumption driven product management, if there's not a test for it, if we can't observe what it is that you are doing, like, and what I mean by test is I don't mean a unit test. I mean, like, is this thing observable, like with a human senses, so, or at least through the computer? And then from there, it gets accepted, right? And so, yeah, you see that a lot more now because people, are we done with the sprint? And it's just all this talking. It's like, I just want to see like green, especially if we're already using the AI to write the things. Like, let's just focus on what it means to accept, right? Like, what was the desired thing?
Yeah. What does it mean to be done?
If you can answer that, that's the billion dollar. Like, ask a painter that sometime, or
It's
a
never
musician.
done.
Right? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, painter's a good example, right? Okay, we finished. Now we come back. Oh, well, okay, not a painter artist, but a house painter. We finished once. We're just going to come back and paint it again.
Right.
The question is, when do we need to come back and paint?
When? Yeah.
And why are we repainting it? Are we repainting it because you don't like the color? Or are we repainting it because the paint peeled off because of bad work? Or are we repainting it because age happens, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's always it's a continually renewing cycle.
Are we painting it to put it back? Are we doing conservation? Or so that this nature of the work, I think what, especially this fractional stuff, it kind of, not to bring it back to that, but it questions sort of the nature of work, right, on the computer and what these roles were and things. And that's been our biggest struggle was, like you said, am I product, having to decide what bucket. It's almost like, man, just forget that. We're here to help.
Buckets don't matter.
Yeah. Where do we get this done? But deeper, like David's saying, what does it mean? Like, are we doing conservation? Is it paint again because we're putting it back? Or do we paint again because there's actually like entropy or something rotted? Or is this new? Are we designing something and making it? Or are we doing maintenance and repair? Like, where's the, I think people are really struggling with like the nature of work on computers right now, especially with people getting laid off. Like, why were you getting paid $250,000 1 minute and zero now? What were you doing before and what changed? Like, that seems like, if it was like $2 difference, maybe it was like.
And mostly we can't justify our own work, which is the problem that we have in fractionals too, because we can't describe what it is. We as a whole, right, can't describe what it is that we do that makes us worth getting paid to do the thing. And we just tend to say, well, we slap some label on top of being something like what we would do or could do as an employee, CTO. I'm a fractional CTO. I do some part of the job. I mean, I'm an advocate for saying we do some part of the job, but that we're just broadly saying, this is all I do. I don't really know what it is, but you probably need one, right?
I solve problems. You got any of those?
Yeah. It's also really weird. Like, what we do is CTO level advising. And then I'm like, give me all the hottest of the hot garbage on your sort of DevOps operations side. And so it's like you're mode switching between almost intern and CTO, which is kind of what they need, or at least that's what we've seen. And also there's things that are changing about, you see people like, well, we have our funding, let's hire 30 DevOps engineers, and you're coming in like, no, just hire one or two of us and we could do the whole thing now. And I don't even mean AI, I just mean we're just better at it, right? Or we're the people you can't hire necessarily as a full time.
I talked to a team, I guess probably 2020, and they said that for a DevOps engineer, it took them 6 months before first commit. And they had a team of 200 DevOps engineers. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with your stuff? What did you do that is so wrong that you have 200 DevOps engineers? I mean, this is a company, I'm not going to name their name, but they're in the space like Splunk, right? So they're building and managing a scaled logging type, a hosted logging type infrastructure. And I'm like, what did you do wrong here? Because this is just so wrong.
Yeah.
We should just step back, fire everyone, and start over.
That's that they were missing the CTO part. And then also, if you have the right sort of advising, then you can benefit from the sort of hiring or the work, right? Like you make sure you're working the right way or on the right thing. But
Steven, when you go in, are you working side by side with an existing CTO? Or are you being the CTO for and reporting to a CEO, or is it mixed?
it's been kind of a nightmare because when you come in, the hardest thing is that first hurdle of, are we services, like contract services? Like, people don't get how to interact with Fractional at all. That you're basically, it's not a contract CEO. You know what I mean? It's like, so usually we have to do paperwork that looks like almost like a TNM, like we call it a managed service agreement, only the service is us, right? That we're managing our like kind of thing or something. But then 9 times out of 10, the only way they can do it, mostly with the full-time employee kind of places, like smaller places, they have to treat me like an employee. So they onboard me, like literally give me so there's those nuts and bolts. But in terms of like, I have worked where that's, again, like, depending. You're there. I have talked with the CTOs and help advise them when they're there. And then we usually also augment with tons of services of delivery, like actual helping them with things. That's unique to my shape, I think. Like, that's just, and so we've always had a CTO. I only twice now have we kind of helped steer it, like almost like CTO. But you get into issues of, I'm already kind of running our business, being fractional, that, there's not a lot of space for you not to be like a Y Combinator, someone trying to do that, and they want that fractional CTO. You can't do Y Combinator fractionally. Like, think of it that way. So it gets really dicey. It's almost, I've told people, why don't I help you? I fill in until you find your ongoing DevOps person or your ongoing engineer that can handle what we've got you set up with, and your ongoing CTO person is usually the answer, Adam. Otherwise, I like actually helping CTOs just do better because it's their domain. I think that's where it gets 90%. Like, hopefully there's someone as technical that cares deeply about what they're doing. As fractional, I can care about the CTO part, but sometimes you're like, I had one guy go, like, one company, they're like, so are you stoked about stocks? Like, I'm sure you're into stock. I was like, I don't know anything about stock market. And that's like, but that's why I'm good at DevOps, because I didn't spend all my time learning the stock market.
That's the anti-equity answer too, right? Will you take equity? No, I'm not an investor.
Yeah.
Right.
Just here to help.
Yeah. I was just sorry. I had to run my kids, messed up the code on the door. So it was beep. I don't know if you heard it beeping, but it was anyway. And then
The
calling.
short answer is, yeah, you work with them. It's pretty ad hoc right now, but that's why I was excited when I saw this from David. Like, just, I think the more we talk about this, I think this is sort of the future of companies in some way.
Yeah. So I guess where I was trying to drive the conversation a little bit is, what's going on for your ideal buyer when they bring you in? So a lot of CTOs, they've spent years in tech, right? And then there's a certain level of experience, and I'm wondering what makes them think, oh, I'd like to have someone as a guide with me along on this journey, or is it some other problem that they have? I guess for you would be the DevOps problem you're coming in with, like, that's probably opening the door a little bit, but there's a lot of ego sometimes with these roles, and you have to say to yourself, like, I want to do better, and I want someone to be on this journey with me, as an advisor, and that takes a certain type of personality to begin with. And I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to find those people. Those people recognize that they might need help or want help, and instead of trying to convince. Well, not that I'm doing a ton of sales, but like, you're going and meeting someone and saying, oh, I'm a fractional CTO, and you're talking to a CTO. I was at CTO CraftCon here in Toronto last week, and I had a room full of CTOs, and I was like, what do I say to them? Like, I'm not exactly sure. I'm older than a lot of them, and I even had a script that I was like, I had rehearsed like a salesperson, and then I got to meet them, and I couldn't do it. I was like, this doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't
What
feel
was your
right.
script, Adam? What was it?
Oh, it's
I know we've done these before, so
Hello, I'm say your name here.
Just a second. Well, I'll find it here for you. Clearly it was important because it's right at my fingertips. I help CTOs and their teams navigate the challenge of scaling technical organizations while developing leadership capabilities. And then it was a list of discovery questions. What's your biggest challenge right now in scaling your engineering organization? How do you currently handle leadership development for your technical managers?
did you ever get into
I can sit
This
here and
sounds
say
good.
it.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
I can sit here. I sat here and I actually practiced the questions to try and like get them in, like you would practice a star interview format. And then I got there and I was talking to people and I'm like, it feels wrong. Like, I'm not.
But so what you do then? It's you're standing there, you're talking to a group of people, and and everybody, you say, okay, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a CTO over at this place. Then you say, well, what problems are you guys having?
Yeah.
I would just pull out the paper, like, hey guys, and
You
then
know
just
what? There
pitch
was a
right
ve-
to their face. Yeah, I
there
mean,
was a
there's no
vendor.
wrong way, right? This is the thing. Like, the one thing I'll say is, we've been taking it on the chin. Like, we have some really difficult conversations. It's awkward. I just have to not care what people think. But I've been in a CEO, CTO thing too. I just am annoying, I guess. I mean, I just kind of break right through it and I'm like, need any help with anything? Because back in the day, like you get to like let's say it's a Citibank security team. You don't walk in as how y'all doing security. They're not going to be like terrible, right? This is one of those, you know what I mean? Like, so in some ways going in either like a buffoon or totally salesy is okay, because then you'll break the ice a little and then you'll get, as long as you do the follow-up. And but it's hard. I mean, like you said, I think it's more about the biggest thing we've still had is after only 5 years, and this is what I'd be interested to hear other people, is just the general, how are we going to work together? Not the pitch. Everyone needs help, Adam, and they would love to have you. But what it falls down is this sort of arrangement. How are we working together when you're doing something like the CTO or other things? How do we work like that? That like, how do you even structure that? What agreements do you need? Do they send you a lap? Like that kind of stuff, So.
Yeah.
That stuff I have no problem with. I mean, partly because I accepted that the things that I want to do, the part of the job I want to do is the advisory side of it. Right? I don't ever want to do delivery again. And
hey, you should kick those to me.
I
get it. It is easier.
I want to touch on the technical. I want to touch on the technical architecture. I want to touch on the product. I want to touch on the teams and the problems that we're having within the teams. But I don't want to be responsible for any of those.
Yeah.
I mean, and that sounds bad, but we're a group of peers here, right? But that's the reality, is that the things that I want to do anymore are to help them, empower them to do this within their own teams, to take control of this, because I don't own their business. I don't run their business. I don't run their product. I don't run their DevOps, right? But they have people that do these things, and they're failing at some or many or all parts of this. And so I want to be able to come in and say, I'll help you through this rough patch. I'll be that advisor. I'll be that expert. I'll be that outsider voice. That outsider voice is the most powerful thing that we have. And so because of that, I structured my agreements. I structured what I offer around advisory entirely. And so it's very rarely a problem. The only time it's ever been a problem is when they want delivery. They want somebody to come in and build something. And I'm like, I'm not your guy. Sorry, I can recommend some people.
Yeah.
But here's what I offer. This is a take it or leave it proposition. And now, as Adam knows full well, I've not been super successful. I've had the projects that the clients that I've landed have been good, but finding them has been hard, right? But when they land, they're good, right? This is a 6 to 18 month relationship with a good monthly price, and effectively very controlled, limited engagement for me, where I'm staying in context, I'm having conversations, but I'm not the one that's responsible for fixing it. But they also get that insurance policy of, oh my God, stuff's on fire. We can call Dave.
Yeah, you talked about it. You summed it up nicely in one conversation, David. We know each other from a different coffee chat. So I popped into that, I think, for 6 months straight and then did other things. But you summarized it as head versus hands work is what you used to say, which really that stuck. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, they almost always have people who can do the hands.
Right.
They just don't know what they're supposed to do.
Sometimes. I mean, it depends. With, like you said, coming strictly again in the kind of context of DevOps, one of the ways to find work was I was just applying to jobs that
Right.
were hired, and I knew those positions. I even talked to some recruiters like, hey, help me find all these jobs that are open for more than 6 months or something, because I know that they're not going to find that person. And then the pitch is, while you're still looking for the people you really want, let us come in. But that was delivery based. Again, like you're setting it up, which is
And
complicated.
my position there is, let me help you understand why you're not hiring this person. Let me
Right.
understand why you need this person, because you probably, a lot of times they don't really understand what this role did, how it interfaces with the rest of the company. And this is why I started networking with CTOs, because my background is sysadmin DevOps. Why I started networking with CTOs, because I thought incorrectly. I thought that I would find CTOs who recognized that they don't know DevOps. They don't know what happens when it gets into production.
Yeah.
Most CTOs seem to not recognize that they don't know.
Right.
But the reason I did that is because I worked with CTOs who recognized that in themselves, right? My first clients in that advisory capacity were CTOs who were like, we know we need DevOps, but we don't know why or what. We're over here doing product things. We're over here doing data things. We're over here doing software engineering things, but we don't really know what happens when it gets to production. And so I thought, I network with CTOs. I will find people who also recognize that.
Yeah.
And instead I built a network of CTOs that,
As soon as we define DevOps, we'll decide if we want that.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it really depends. Like because that sounds a lot like, when I was working, every 100% travel, going to big Fortune 100 and bringing them the DevOps, like literally, like what is this even? What is this, installing something? Like, but like you would meet there was almost every Fortune 100, Fortune 500 company on a certain team in infrastructure or operations has a like a weird trusted guy, like, or person that is like the sort of their consultant they've had for a long time, like kind of like you, David. And I was always shocked, like this person just is there to be the trusted advisor. They show up, they say, yeah, whatever he's saying sounds good, but they don't touch anything. And so that's been a thing for a long time. It does significantly change when you say we're also going to fractionally deliver. Like, can
Yes.
another organization outside fractionally deliver, be your fractional DevOps department? And we did that, I think, pretty successfully with one company for 4 years. I mean, for that we did that, like, and it's, if you do it right, it works, where you just scope work every month. It works good to be monthly and just deliver that and kind of, and then, in addition, then once you're doing kind of services work, any kind of, hey, want to come to this product or security or, CISO kind of meeting, sure. Like, because you're already kind of in the mix. If that,
Right.
they really start treating you like a employee. And that fractional entry point really helps you kind of be jack of all trades kind of thing.
David, did you find, you said that you had this premise and then you went out and you found out that I wasn't sure if you had a premise that they didn't understand DevOps and they needed help, or what was your premise there? And it sounded like you flipped the premise.
My premise was that they would be willing to accept help.
Right.
And the result of that experiment was that no, they're just, I'm being very broad brush here. So
Yeah.
please, everyone take offense. That no, I'm a CTO. I'm the expert in my job. I have a team of people who do this stuff, and I don't need outside help. I can't see past that. Even when we bring them into a group and spend, the CTO coffee, we'll spend 20 or 30 people all talking about the problems that they're all sharing, but no one will ever bring anyone in to help them solve those problems.
That's what I was talking about with the ego, right? Like
Yep.
that's there's a system I found, just a corollary. There's something called EOS, which is the Entrepreneur Operating System. And small business owners go to that when they need a framework for growing their business. And it's got some very defined tools in it, the way that we might come in with a toolbox already. But when people go there, they already know they have a problem. If you know what I mean, like they've already accepted, like, hey, my business isn't growing. I might be the problem. How do I grow this? And I'm like, how do we do that for CTOs? How do we do the EOS for CTOs? Because we all think that we're experts.
I mean, CTO levels tries.
What is it?
CTO levels.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? I mean, they've built this staging of here are a series of here's the steps and the stages of a company's growth, and here's what the CTO means. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
vague and hand wavy. We all know that, but it's a good reference chart, right? And
Yeah.
they apparently have a framework. I've never tried to pursue it further of like how to get from here to there.
Yeah.
So it's a place, it's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think the trick is finding. I don't want to sell people on something. Like if you believe that you have an issue, I can probably help you. But if I have to convince you that you have an issue, it's going to be a much longer discussion.
Yeah. I'm usually there to convince you have a different issue than you think you do.
Right. Well, that's also very true. But
If
yeah,
you're talking about, especially like say startup-y or non-public kind of fundraised ventures, that CTO, I'll be honest, like all I ever saw was they're fundraising all the time. Like they're not even the technical, they're either fundraising or selling the company or both. Like, so they are not actually running any technical stuff. So one of the things you can kind of slide in as is I'll help you do the technical stuff. Honestly, like I'll be your partner on the technical stuff. I'll show me where the code is. Let's look at your process for delivery. How's your, and they usually appreciate that, where you're basically saying, I get it. You're doing two roles that are absolutely in tension. You're supposed to be the most technical person, know everything about the technical product, and also go to all these meetings about your next round. Like that's, or customers, right? You're also maybe the top sales engineer as the CTO. Right. And these are, you're doing like 3 or 4 things. It shocked me when I'm like, oh, I'm taking over from someone, that's been a CTO for a long time and a founder. And you're like, wow, this is only like 2/5 of what they were doing every day. So there's a lot to it that you can slide in depending. And once you vibe with them, if you get through your, sheet of paper kind of thing and discovery, you'll find out what they want to do. Like David's saying, if they care deeply and all they're talking about is the product and how technical and almost like that, they probably don't want your help on there. But if they're right, and so you'll hear it right when you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think that from a technical side, if you can find the people who are functionally VPEs or engineering managers, right, in that role, whatever the title is, but functionally they're doing people management, they're not doing technical management, or they're doing fundraising, or they're doing field sales, right? They're, the field CTO, those types of roles, then that is a good opportunity to come in and say, hey, I can supplement you with whatever that other is. I believe that a strong technical CTO needs backfilling on the engineering management. And again, finding that person, finding that team that will allow that relationship and say, hey, I can come in as a strong engineering manager, as a fractional engineering manager, and fill this role. The fractional VPE is the good example of that, right? I can be that. I can help you grow the team and manage the team while you handle the product and the technical and the engineering and the fundraising.
Yeah. Meena, how does this line up with your background? Because you're kind of like you and I think are the same, where you're straddling multiple functions or roles in a startup. How does this all land with you? Or you sounded like you were building a product yourself right now as a fractional. So
That's right. Yeah. Building a product myself sounded like I could relate to whatever Stephen and David are talking about. Stephen more around the delivery, David more around the consulting bits. But what I'm not clear and I wanted to drill deeper is, when you initiate these discussions with the prospect or ICP, where you're saying the CTOs are ICP for you, when you say you're going to solve the problem or I'm here to consult you for this, is there a Bible? Is there a set of problems that you're already aware when you get into these conversations and do that? What I'm not able to relate to is from the delivery perspective, it is easy to convince them that, okay, this is what you want. It's something tangible that I can deliver. Let's do it. But from the management consulting perspective, I have not seen conversion rates that high. And like you said, Adam, that the ego aspect of the CTOs, right? It's not just the ego, it's also the decision that they have made in terms of hiring the resources. It is around the decisions that they have made in terms of choosing the tech stack, delivering the features in a certain way, signing off on the processes, which means some of that are not working. And generally, these CTOs are not ready to
Right.
accept that there is a problem in one of these areas. So
My
how do you navigate that?
my best success has been, I think that the best target audience here are going to be COOs, CEOs to a certain extent, but that's going to be smaller companies, right? COOs, heads of HR, whatever that title ends up being, right? Your human resource people are the ones who know what's missing.
yes.
So I have not successfully managed to really build a network of that in either side, partly because their own communities are exclusive, right? If you're not a COO, you don't get to join. If you're not a head of human resources, you don't get to join, which means that they don't get the perspective of outsiders within at least their communities, right? And so that's been a challenge for me, but I think that that's where we can come in, because these are the people that are looking for gaps and seeing that their CTO is not doing something, or their CTO is ready to quit, or their CTO has quit, and what do they do? Right. And that's where I think that the fractional CTOs and the fractional product, fractional data, fractional DevOps, I think that's where we can really shine if we can find these people to talk to, if that's your ideal client profile or something along those lines. I think startup CEO is fine, but that's only if you really like early stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like your HR idea. I've actually been playing with that myself because I've got connections with quite a few HR people. And I want to just go to them and ask them a simple question like, what is it that you wish engineering teams knew? And just let them talk. I just shut up. But there's another one in the C-suite, which might seem unorthodox, but I'm sure all of us have reduced the cloud spend at the companies we've been at, save the company money. So that's a very easy win. And there's one person in the org that really cares about that, and that's the CFO. So if I could get in front of a CFO, like at the last company, I don't know, I didn't even keep track. I don't know how many thousands of dollars I saved them in unused licenses and just shutting down software that nobody was using, but the credit card bill was still coming in. And I went into all the systems and I just forwarded the receipts in that, that alternate, email in the billing section. And I just forwarded to the accounts payable. I saved them so much time and energy chasing that shit down. And then maybe I want to use that as a bit of a loss leader there where I'm like, hey, like I can do this.
There's the whole industry of FinOps is there for you, right? But if you can present yourself differently, if you can network yourself, because maybe you're not coming in to help them, you're not necessarily about saving money. I mean, you can present it any way you want. To me, say when you one of the challenges that the FinOps side has is if you come in and say you're going to save money, and what you end up doing is saying we need to re-architect, which is true, then now you're causing us to spend engineering dollars that we didn't plan on spending, and often we all end up spending increasing our cloud bill because of it
Yeah.
for positive reasons.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
And-
never saved anyone money. I've only
Same here.
doubled their bill, but
I mean,
they're
I've come
okay with
in-
it.
I've come
Right.
in and cut their bill in half and then doubled it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you want to make it effective, I think is what you're talking about, Adam. Sometimes effectively they want to save money, but other times being effective with the cloud means you like quadruple, you end up quadrupling their spend in cloud, but it's helping their business now. So
But there are things like doing audits and reviewing it and helping them understand where they spend their money and why they spend money.
Yeah.
Right. And that are there alternatives and why aren't there alternatives? I think there's we continue to see it continuing, and Corey Quinn just sent something out the other day that kind of leveraged this idea that, is there going to be a push back into data centers?
Yeah.
And if there is, and we certainly see people talking about it, but if there is, a lot of it's going to be from companies who are already still in data centers. They moved some workloads to the cloud. They can repatriate those loads back to data centers just fine, right? They still have the people, they still have the staff, they still have the operational capability and knowledge to bring that back in. And a lot of times they built it in such a way because they had to compartmentalize it to move it. They could bring it back in a compartment as well. He used Zynga as an example, and I'm like, hi, I built the first the first Chef implementation for all the automation that was moving Zynga back to AWS. So I feel that.
Yeah,
And
I felt it too. You're giving me PTSD.
And
I noticed Karl joined. We want to say hi to Karl.
Sure. Hey, say hi again, Karl.
Hey, sorry, I joined late. Kind of forgot. I've been at some previous of these. I'm also fractional CTO. Have a video game background. Actually, I wanted to give an update, David, because last week it was right before this Web Summit conference in Vancouver, and I attended and I networked my butt off. Like at the conference and before and after at all these other events and event hopping. There was, I went in without tight positioning with just looking to learn. Definitely. So I guess I'll give my high level summary of what I did learn. There's definitely investors, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but there is like a sense of like, we're trying to figure out how to use AI with our portfolio companies as like a statement. I heard that a few times. That was like, this is the thing that we're like we're looking for. This is the thing that we're trying to solve at the moment. So that was interesting. Whenever I mentioned fractional CTO, the people that got really excited the most were people that are like extremely early stage. They're like, oh, I'm going to talk to you in like 6 months kind of thing. Like that was the only one that was a strong, like super interest. What else? Yeah, I did not utilize the questions like, is there someone I should talk to? Do you know? Like I didn't do that, unfortunately. Adam, yeah.
I went to CTO CraftCon. Somebody told me I should have gone to Web Summit in Vancouver, and I'm like, I live in Toronto, and CTO CraftCon was here, so
fantastic.
I took a list of questions and then
And then we threw
and
them
then
out.
chickened out on most of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I also took notes of like who I talked to and where I talked to them and what I said, just to like have some context for the future. And the list actually did get long. That helped me during the day as well to be like, am I actually doing something here? I'm like, oh, my list, I have to scroll. That's great. So I'm going to start doing the whole follow-up dance very, very shortly.
Cool.
I think those are all my kind of early findings.
It sounded like the one thing that everyone wanted is to help them figure out what AI means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you're willing to brand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting. Like they had one of the original authors of the RAG paper saying like, yeah, agents don't work yet. And then every single booth had something to do with AI. Like every single startup was like blah, blah with AI. And so, yeah, it was an interesting range of like extreme like kind of BS. Or there was even a startup that was like executive presence using AI, like trying to like scale your CEO presence by like fake versions of yourself, or like versions that some random employee can ask questions to, but it's not really you. Like, this is so weird. And then
shifted so far left, we don't need anybody now.
it's so strange. It's so strange. But then there's a bunch of like, yeah, things aren't ready yet. Then there's lots of stuff to solve. There's the whole range is there. But yeah, that was my experience.
There was
I'm right on the cusp of like trying that, because I've been obviously, like I'm sure all of you are, I've been experimenting with AI, but on the weekend I wrote an MCP server with Claude, and I was blown away. I was like, I'm not saying it's agentic, but it wrote a better README than I would have ever written. And I basically implemented Claude memory for Claude by asking Claude, how can I expand your memory? I know there's an MCP server already written by them, but I just wanted to see. And I wound up in 4 hours. I went from that prompt to working code published in GitHub privately. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened here? And then I started thinking, I got existential. I'm like, what's this mean for the industry? But I tried to stay out of that hole. But yeah, it was nuts. Really nuts.
Adam, I think Meena said something really important, and I think David touched on it too, especially if you're trying to drum up business. It's almost 100% swing motion if you do additional services like delivery. I think that, so like, just kind of trying to come in and just advise, services are for closers, right? Kind of thing. Like, this is really, if you can navigate that. And so I think she's seen that too, where like everyone, if you're willing to do the actual work you're advising on too, or help them somehow facilitate doing that work or whatever, that has been we just run towards that. It's kind of like running towards the fire. I get it. It's gnarly, but it's what allowed us to survive, right? And so
back when I was in the other fractional CTO coffees, I actually wrote a list of like, these are the types of problems that I solve, but at a fairly detailed level, and I tried to like ladder them up into, this is the language that an engineer would understand, this is the language that the manager would understand, this is the language of the executive. But I am very clear on the problems that I just haven't written it up in the way that other people could consume it. But in my head, I'm like, the cloud spend one is a fantastic one, where like, hey, are you spending too much on cloud? I know you are.
Maybe
right?
it's AI spend now.
Right. Yeah. And are you spending too much? Yeah. And
do you know why you're spending so much money on AI? Do you know where it's going? Maybe I can come in and help you figure that out.
Yeah. One company, we were going to do SOC 2, get SOC 2 certified. And when I started looking around, I opened up Miro, and there's this Miro group for the company that isn't the one that I had been on. And I was like, oh, what's this? So I'm finding leaking IP, and then I'm like, well, what other ones are leaking? And I go into these other systems, and I'm like, people have their personal email addresses in there. They haven't been with the company in 2 years. And I'm like, okay, well, that's actually a real problem. But it's, how do you lever that up to the right, to the right message for the right, you're standing at, the web dev conference or the CTO craft con, and you run up against someone and it's like, oh, you got any leaking IP? It's like, I can help. I can find it.
Well, see if Claude can help you to figure out how to lever that up into something that you can push on something.
Yeah. That's, so I went back to, so I left this coffee club, and then I went to looking for full-time work, and then now I'm back. I'm like, okay, I gotta hunker down on this and kind of double down on it. So yeah, I need to start my journey of figuring this out with Claude.
We are at the hour. I have nothing else on the other side of this, so if anybody wants to hang around, keep talking, you're welcome to.
I have a furnace or an air conditioning person coming, so I might have to drop. But
yeah, wonderful catching up. I think this was my first one.
Yeah, thank you.
I look forward to joining more of these.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Okay. Thanks for putting this on,
Lovely.
David. And I
Thank
see you
you.
got the Slack group. I'll see you guys in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers.
Thanks for the update, Karl.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Sam. Cool. Did you have any other questions? Anything wanted to ask about, or?
All good, David. Maybe we'll talk about this as to how you structure the contract and how do you pitch to the client. It'll be good to have a session with you to understand
Sure.
how the codes move fractional.
If you go to my website, you can set up a discovery call, and we can talk about it.
Lovely. Thank you so
Cool.
much. Take
All
care.
right. Thank you.
Bye.